how many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible. Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet. Monsieur de Richet, I am arresting you for the murder of Elizabeth Adams.
At last we meet, Monsieur de Richet. Do you mind if I call you Louis?
Please do.
Thank you. I wish to apologize wholeheartedly, Louis. I made you cross the seas, and I wasn't even here to welcome you. When I asked you to join us here, it was, of course, in the hope that you would help us find your mother. But an act of horrific violence occurred during the night, and I do not know if this is linked to the disappearance of Sarah.
If there's a possible link to my mother, I hope you'll let me know.
In the early hours of the morning, Elizabeth Adams was found dead in her room, savagely mutilated with a knife. I'll get straight to the point, Louis. According to the initial elements at my disposal, you were the last person to see her alive.
Yes, last night we, Do you suspect me?
I want you to tell me everything that happened last night and leave nothing out. Tell me, how did the evening begin?
I was going up to my room when I saw Elizabeth waiting for me. She was very upset, and her words didn't make sense. I thought it best to follow her to her room, as she had asked me to.
Continue.
She insisted we have a drink, without which she refused to confide anything.
What exactly did she want to speak about?
She claimed she saw my mother the previous evening on the cliff, if I remember correctly.
Interesting. I will send someone as soon as possible. But do go on.
I refused to go on drinking with her. She already seemed drunk, and her conversation became confused. So then she ordered me to get out. If only I'd stayed.
Don't blame yourself, Louis. How could you have known? But thank you for this new information.
Louis, I shan't hide the fact that this tragedy puts me in a very delicate situation. I cannot risk upsetting the smooth operation of our next conference. But the case cannot remain unaddressed. I must reassure my guests, and justice will be done. And for that to happen, I must ask for your help.
Why's that?
You met Elizabeth. You spoke together, I believe. She trusted you. Listen, Louis. Find out who could have committed this murder. I refuse to believe that one of my guests is the murderer. I want to know who is responsible for this. And I trust you. You have my backing. You must stop at nothing. Can I count on you?
Of course. How would you like me to proceed?
Maybe you could start by going to the scene of the crime. Elizabeth was attacked in her room.
Can you tell me anything else about what happened?
Now, Louis, I wouldn't want to influence you. Get over there and form your own opinion.
Do you have any suspects in mind, my lord?
I spent most of the night talking with Sir Gregory and His Eminence Piaggi, so I think you can remove them from the list of suspects. Monsieur Bonaparte and President Washington left the party after midnight, I believe. They were tired and went up to bed.
Right. I'll get over there immediately.
Thank you, Louis. Now, once you've finished, come back and let me know your findings. I'll be waiting. And Louis, you've got permission to search through the guests' rooms. They've all been notified and they agree.
Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost. The Nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781. Hey, a Russian ruble. I wonder what it'd be worth today. I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
I'll be in touch as soon as I have any more information. Your Eminence, I imagine that you've heard the news about Miss Adams.
What a tragedy, my son. How could such a thing have happened?
That's exactly what I'm trying to find out. Did you notice anything out of the ordinary last night?
I saw the young French soldier, Bonaparte, I believe, hanging around near Miss Adams' room. But I would not want to get an innocent man into trouble, Louis. It's probably nothing. But if I were you, my son, I would talk to Monsieur Peru. You remember how violently he set upon Miss Adams.
Oh, don't worry. He's on the list of suspects. Dante's Purgatory. Why does your mind presume to flight when you're still like the imperfect grub, the worm before it's attained? A byzant from the Byzantine Empire, a coin often used during the St. Louis era. Golden elixir, consumed without excess. Which four-letter word could open this chest? Which four-letter word could open this chest? Sur Jacques Perru.
What do you want from me, de Richet?
Greetings. It's fallen to me
Cut
that...
the crap! Get to the point. We both know why you're here.
And have you got anything to tell me?
What does it matter? It's too late anyway. Do what you have to do and get out.
It's never too late, sir. If you have something to say, now is the time.
You don't understand. Everything's already written. It's over.
Why is he behaving like the perfect culprit? What is it that's already written? I'm not sure I follow you.
No, you don't.
The Massacre of the Innocents by Rubens. A bit gloomy. Guess my room is not that bad. The Massacre of the Innocents, but by Van Harlem. I think that Mortimer likes to play mind games with his guests. A pattern with 4 circles. A cache. Nice decor for a revolutionary tribunal judge's room.
All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. I'd like to talk about the letter you're writing. What woman is it addressed to?
Who says it's a woman? I'm not saying any more. There's no point you insisting.
Records of the police. Notes intended for the police lieutenant of Paris. It's a list of people under surveillance in Paris. And there's some well-known names on it. This is valuable information. This shouldn't be lying around. Another painting on the massacre of the innocents?
Dear friend, please come and join us. We must meet about the ongoing operations in Paris. A boat will be waiting for you in Calais and will take you to Dover in England. From there, a carriage will take you to the port of Tintagel, where a frigate will be waiting for you and other guests, so you can meet up with me on my island as quickly as possible. I await your arrival. Lord William Mortimer.
Nice decor for a revolutionary tribunal judge.
All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. Goodbye, sir. We shall meet again.
Probably.
Monsieur Napoleon Bonaparte. The Prince by Machiavelli. A perfect read for anyone with a surfeit of ambition. That might come in handy. The Battle of Alexander at Issus, or how Alexander the Great triumphed over King Darius. Yet another one with delusions of grandeur. Hannibal crossing the Alps. Another military success. Why do I get nothing but visions of horror in my room, and he gets victory after victory? A Greek drachma. One of the rare ancient coins to be mentioned both in the Bible and in the Quran. French actor Talma. A fragment of amber. French actor Talma as Nero in Britannicus, the last emperor of the Caesar dynasty. Just one holster in Bonaparte's gear, and the pistol is missing. On the other hand, his cleaning equipment is in mint condition. That's typical of the soldier in him.
My dear Napoleon, as previously agreed, I would like to ask you to join us in January on my island to participate in the High Society meeting organized for the occasion. We shall be able to continue our discussion about our project for a new order for France. I have a proposition to make to you concerning your wish to put a strong leader at the head of France. I trust you to be discreet as to your coming. See you soon. Lord William Mortimer.
Vercingetorix throws down his arms at the feet of Julius Caesar by Royer, two great army chiefs. A bicorn decorated with a cockade. It must belong to a French soldier. It's a beautiful weapon, a lovely damask blade. It's marked with the initials of the manufacturer in Versailles. dearest son, I'm writing to implore you to act quickly. The situation is rapidly worsening here. Paoli continues to steer our motherland, Corsica, toward open warfare between France and England. His men are everywhere. We are obliged to go into hiding and are unable to remain in the same place for more than 2 days. I wouldn't be surprised if they targeted us. Make haste, my son. You hold our destiny in your hands. Your loving mother, Maria Letizia Bonaparte.
Monsieur de Richet, please be quick. We are both very busy.
Did you hear about young Elizabeth?
Indeed, it is deeply regrettable.
Lord Mortimer asked me to...
I know. You no doubt want to know my alibi. I spent the night downstairs playing cards.
What time did the game end?
I can't say exactly. As for me, I must have stayed until midnight. I was exhausted, couldn't think straight. So I preferred to go up to bed.
On your way up to bed, did you notice anything out of the ordinary?
No, not in the least. The whole manor was sound asleep.
Not really. No. Did you notice anything unusual during the evening?
Nothing at all, except the luck of the devil of Lord Mortimer and Sir Gregory at cards.
Did they win much?
Oh la la, monsieur, they cleaned us out more like. But I plan on getting it all back before we leave.
Did any of you leave during the game?
Not that I know of, monsieur. I didn't exactly spend my time noting the other guests' comings and goings, but I don't think so.
Thank you. Can you tell me who was present at the game, please?
Well, there were Lord Mortimer, President Washington, and Sir Gregory.
Thank you.
Ah, and His Eminence Piaget as well. Excuse me, I nearly forgot him. Poor soul.
Someone saw you not far from the victim's room. Can you tell me what you were doing exactly, please?
I can tell you that someone is an idiot. I wanted to warn her to be careful. You see, on the night of my arrival, I saw someone leaving her room in haste, and I wanted to speak to her, to warn her. Unfortunately, the young lady slipped through my fingers each time. Now I know why. She had every reason to be worried. What an idiot I was not to insist. I could have helped her.
I've been studying him for a while now, and I don't think he was lying. Yet, I'm surprised how easy it was for me to read him. It must surely be his military side. I wish they all could be like that. My investigation would be finished already.
Well, have we finished, monsieur?
Exactly. Thanks again for all your answers. Good day. King George III in coronation robes. Nice touch for the room of an English duchess.
Dear E, I received your last letter. Unfortunately, the Crown informed the Golden Order that our mission should under no circumstances hamper Sir Gregory's plans. Decidedly, they have support from the highest level in Buckingham Palace. So here we both are, hands and feet tied, and little room to maneuver. Keep me abreast of events. Our mission is becoming more complicated. Yours, E. T.S. The French chapter of the Order doesn't appear to know anything about the arrival of our friend Sarah. I therefore cannot comment on it. However, my guess is that she has come here for personal reasons.
The Lady's Waldegrave by Reynolds, painted upon the request of the Waldegrave family, in an effort to find them a husband. Displayed like meat. It's disgusting.
Grammar of Port-Royal. Ah, the artistry of the French language in all its splendor. Whoever masters French commands the world. At least une partie of it.
A letter from William Pitt the Younger, addressed to Emily. He's the present Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Emily has indeed some powerful backers. Madam, thank you for consoling the Queen. The King's situation is worsening, but I wager he'll recover from this present fit. Next time you speak with Her Majesty the Queen, would you please be so kind as to ask her to look into my petition to raise taxes with the King? I will personally see to it that our nation will recover from this impasse. But King George's mental situation is slowing down our decision-taking. Thank you in advance for all your help. William Pitt, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain. A cash. Two coils circle the lock. Queen Charlotte. All the royal family of England is there from what I can tell. A letter from William Pitt the Elder addressed to Emily. He was the English Prime Minister. This letter dates from 15 years ago now. Madam, I shall never thank you enough for all your care and attention. I shall be indebted to you until my last breath. If you have any request of me, you only need ask. With regards to my son William, I shall never thank you enough for looking after him. You know the latter's preferences, and you will understand he needs you desperately. For that, and as agreed with Queen Charlotte, our friend Duke Hillsborough will carry out his task and meet with you within 6 months. From then on, you'll be free from want. Yours sincerely, William Pitt, Count of Chatham. A letter from William Pitt the Younger, addressed to Emily. He's the present Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Emily has indeed some powerful backers. Madam.
What can I do for you, Louis?
I've come to see you about last night's tragedy. Did you hear anything about what happened to Elizabeth?
Yes, we all did. Rumours spread quickly, you know. How awful. I didn't know her well, but I hope at least the poor thing didn't suffer too much.
Death came quickly. You can be assured of that.
If such a senseless act can happen here, then none of us is truly safe anywhere. Lord Mortimer must be mortified that one of his guests could have committed such an act, don't you think?
He is indeed very upset about it. It's only natural after such a violent murder.
Violent? What do you mean?
Elizabeth was stabbed 9 times.
Oh my God, Louis. How awful. The murderer must have had a serious grudge against her to set upon her like that. It must have been a crime of passion. Do you know what happened exactly?
In fact, Lord Mortimer has asked me to look into this case, Emily.
Really? Are you Lord Mortimer's snoop now?
I'm doing it for Elizabeth, not to please Mortimer.
Good for you. Quite right, too. Have you found out anything?
Did you and Elizabeth get to know each other?
I must admit, Louis, I didn't take much interest in her. I feel a bit guilty about it, but I never actually spoke to her. She seemed burdened by her problems, and as she wasn't invited to the conference, I didn't really seek her out.
I hear you were in discussions with the Holy See.
Oh, either His Eminence can't keep his tongue from wagging, or you've been poking your nose where you shouldn't, sir.
Even so, Emily, you're raising a royalist army. That's no small matter.
And you are straying from the subject. Is there anything else you wanted to ask me?
I'm now interviewing all the guests to establish the alibis for each person. Just so that I can cross you off the list of suspects, can you tell me what you were doing on the night of the murder?
Am I given to understand that I'm on the list of suspects?
Don't take it the wrong way, but I must consider every possibility.
Well, if you absolutely wanted to be sure of my activities that evening, you only had to join me, you know.
I know, Emily. Especially since I couldn't prevent the murder, even though I spent part of the evening with Elizabeth.
You're sure it's not too hard to bear for you?
The fact is, I don't have a choice. But I will find the murderer. I owe Elizabeth that, at least. Since your arrival, did you notice anything strange about Elizabeth?
Everything that happened around that poor child was strange. You saw that for yourself.
I know. You're right. I'm looking for leads to try to reduce the number of suspects.
Well, I would say that in addition to ourselves, you could also cross off President Washington. I went to see him during the night. I had some business with him, and I can confirm that he didn't leave his room all night.
That gives Washington an alibi. I won't keep you, Emily. Thank you for answering my questions.
See you, Louis.
Duke Manuel Godoy. Huh, that's me.
Map of Vermont. A map of Massachusetts.
It looks like a note between Emily and Washington about trade deals.
The English and the Americans are preparing a peace treaty. It would appear that Emily is in secret discussion with Washington about reopening trade between the United States and England. If such an arrangement came into being, France would suffer dearly. My dear George, I'd like to invite you to join me as planned at my place. I have a project to show you. It is time that the United States played a more important role on the world stage. I understand your reluctance of playing with fire. I know your new country is very young, but rest assured that I would do nothing to jeopardize what we have built together. I look forward to seeing you soon. Your friend, William. A map of Connecticut.
portrait of George Washington.
Greetings, Louis.
Mr. President, you can guess why I'm here.
Of course.
Lord Mortimer has sent me to ask you a few questions about last night.
It's... How am I going to tell Elizabeth's father that she's dead?
I know, Mr. President. I shall endeavor to find out the truth about this tragedy. I must ask you to help me, though. Please.
Find the degenerate pig who did this, Louis.
I'm talking to all the guests to find out who has an alibi and, well, who doesn't, Mr. President. Can you tell me what you were doing last night so that I can strike your name off the list?
I spent the night right here, reading.
All night?
Exactly. Emily stopped by in the middle of the night. You can ask her. She wanted to talk about some business we have in common.
Anything whatsoever to do with Elizabeth?
Not at all, Louis. A business matter.
Tell me, Mr. President, had you spoken to Elizabeth since your arrival? You know her father. You thought she was dead.
No, I didn't. And I believe I'll be taking my remorse with me to my grave. I wanted to, but I didn't know where to begin.
You can't blame yourself. You couldn't have known that her days were numbered. Do you know if she had any enemies, Mr. President?
Not that I know of. I heard about her altercation with Mr. Perry, but that case was closed, if I'm not mistaken. But if in doubt, I wouldn't leave any door unopened, and I'd go and question your fellow countrymen.
Don't worry, countryman or not, I'm not letting anybody slip through the cracks. Do you know why she came to the island?
To get help, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right?
Indeed. Sir Gregory suggested to her father that he introduce her to Lord Mortimer to see if he could help her.
Yes, Lord Mortimer has a talent for healing, apparently. I'm not surprised Sir Gregory advised her to come.
Agreed. I shan't keep you any longer, Mr. President.
Feel free, Louis. If there's anything I can do, just ask.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Good day, Monsieur de Richet.
Mr. Volner, are you looking for anything in particular? Next to Elizabeth's room?
Nothing special.
Lord Mortimer must have informed you of the necessity for everyone to remain in their rooms until further notice.
Certainly, but I'm a guest, not a prisoner. I was looking for a servant, since we don't all, unfortunately, have one at our disposal.
Yeah, right.
I shall leave you now, sir. I will return to my room.
My dear Elizabeth, I'm writing to inform you of some unfortunate news. We won't be able to meet as planned on the first Sunday of May. I've been told that you're...
Has Sir finished with this room?
No, I haven't gone over everything yet.
Sir may take his time. When Sir would like to leave, Sir has only to tell me. Has Sir finished
Do you know
with this room?
who could have made such a mess of this room?
Miss Adams, sir. We were given orders to leave the room as it was, so as not to rush her.
Did she have a fight with someone to get the room into this state?
Not that I know of, sir. Miss Adams would sometimes throw a tantrum, during which she would destroy anything that came to hand. Lord Mortimer told us not to enter the room.
Thanks for that information.
You are welcome, sir. Has Sir finished with his
No,
room?
I haven't gone over everything yet.
Sir may take his time. When Sir would like to leave, Sir has only to tell me.
A chest with a half-circle pattern. An untutored hand copied these notes. Looks like a healing method. Well, that's a pity. The writing is barely legible. The clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime. Huh. The talisman that I gave back to Elizabeth. I can't exactly say it brought her good luck. A pentagram? What the hell's been going on here? Many esoteric rituals are based on this shape. Could Elizabeth have been sacrificed during an occult ritual? A notebook, written in Elizabeth's handwriting. It is written in a mix of several languages, not too easy to work out. It looks like a mixture of medieval Latin and Anglo-Norman. It is difficult to make sense of this jerky writing. I can make out some passages, though. He's coming. The demon is upon me. He's coming back to kill me. There she is. Death has come to finish me off. I've just run into her son. That was her last entry. What tortured writing. A novel of the initiation of a young woman into polite society. June 11th, 17. Pistol? Fairly new, I'd say. And judging by the weight of it, fairly light. It's extremely well maintained. The barrel is perfectly clean. It isn't loaded, and well, there's no traces of gunshot residue. I'd conclude that it hasn't been used recently. There's a few dried traces of blood on the grip. Difficult to know for sure how they got there. A tribute engraved on the barrel. To the liberators of France. Right. I shall have to find its owner. Piece of fabric. High quality at that. I'd say it's silk. Going by the texture and the gray hue, it must come from a dress, that kind that women of quality wear. It's a travel dress. The silk has been lightly waxed to protect it from bad weather. And I know the very woman who came up with the idea, given all the traveling she does. My mother. God help us. Why did she come here in the first place? The material appears to have undergone abnormal wear and tear. She must have been scouring the countryside, and that doesn't look good. Vials of laudanum. The label shows that this laudanum comes straight from America. I wonder if Washington's involved. blood spatter indicates that the murderer must have held Elizabeth upright during the attack. Even if Elizabeth wasn't very big, I doubt she wouldn't have put up a struggle. It takes tremendous strength to overpower someone like that. Knocked over bottle of wine. Thing Elizabeth served me last night. Still just as disgusting. I don't know what's happened to this wine, but it's undrinkable. The blade is short and thin. Well sharpened, apparently. It's covered in blood. Still fresh. The lower part of the handle is unsullied by blood. The murderer gripped the weapon so tight that there's no blood where he held it. The handprint indicates a small and slender hand. Poor girl bled to death. Whoever left that footprint has boats for feet. That's at least a size 15. Where's a size like that here? Peru? Washington, maybe. Blood, but no trace of blows on the legs. More tattoos, similar to those on the rest of her body. I see no sign of bruising on the skull. The only clue is a scar from a previous craniectomy. Poor Elizabeth, she must have been very young when she went through all that. That's torture. She also has old scars around the neck, maybe mutilations. What a strange smell. Laudanum. Certain courtiers use it to get drunk. If taken in large quantities, it can provoke fits of madness. She bled from the nose. There are numerous marks on the body. She must have fought like a lion. It couldn't have happened without a lot of noise. There are also a number of old scars. Scarring, ugh. Scarring isn't very regular, but they're mostly from old cuts. Ancient Greek. Let's see what it means. These are sacred chants intended to protect their bearer. But from whom? Or from what? People who scar themselves in this way generally do so to relieve some kind of psychological suffering. By trying to master the pain, they establish their self-control. I count no fewer than 9 wounds on the thorax, with a lot of blood. On first sight, I'd say that's what caused her death. Some of these tattoos are veritable works of... What's that? The skin between her breasts is different. Bloody hell!
His tattoo was drawn on a page of leather and stitched onto her skin. Probably during childhood. If the scars are anything to go by. It's the same kind of tattoo as on the rest of her body. Some of these tattoos are veritable works of... What's that? The skin between her breasts is different. Bloody hell! This tattoo was drawn on a page of leather and stitched onto her skin. Probably during childhood. If the scars are anything to go by. It's the same kind of tattoo as on the rest of her body. No wounds, but blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol.
Has Sir finished with
I know
this
enough
room?
now. Thank you.
Very well, sir. Sir may return whenever need be. I shall guard the door.
Monsieur Johann van Vulner. The signs of obscurantism. The Sorrows of Young Werther. There's a handwritten text signed by von Werner on this first page. Dear Elizabeth, I know that this book is but a small token compared to the delightful moments you gave me, but I hope that this will nonetheless keep the memory alive. Your ever-obedient servant. So, Werner had a relationship with Elizabeth. But that's hardly surprising given his fondness for the occult. A table of alchemical symbols. Someone circled the zinc symbol. A chest locked with a 4-letter code. Surely a word close to the owner's heart. The alchemist is a young man. A fragment of amber. The alchemist is an old man.
What can I do for you, de Richet?
Monsieur, Lord Mortimer has appointed me to investigate the tragedy that befell us last night.
Oh, yes. It's horrible. Yes. How can I help, monsieur?
Did you see how many tattoos Miss Adams had on her?
Of course. Who wouldn't have noticed?
Yes, but I'm sure that an expert like yourself must have an opinion on the subject.
I do. She was seeking to imprison something inside her. Her own body had become a sort of prison.
She wanted to protect herself. Is that what you're saying?
Elizabeth was a flame, a candle in the night. And like all candles in the night, she was surrounded by darkness, by her demons. Call it what you will. One thing is for sure. She struggled against hell and high water not to let her flame go out.
Excuse me for asking, but did you know Miss Adams?
Oh, she... not really, to tell the truth. No.
I found the Werther dedication, signed by your hand, monsieur. Would you like to change your version now?
Be careful, de Richet. Don't push your luck. My relationship with Miss Adams was pure and has nothing to do with you. Well, continue playing the detective as you see fit. But if I find the bastard who did that to Elizabeth, I will...
Yes! I would have preferred a simple response, but I see I have my answer now. Exactly how long had you been seeing her?
I have no reason to answer you.
I see. Is that what you want me to tell Lord Mortimer when he asks what I found out?
It's only been a few weeks.
You loved her, didn't you?
That is none of your damn business.
Your feelings betray you, sir.
So what? Yes, I loved her like a moth loves the flame of a candle. That's why we could never be together.
I get the impression that your romance was over. Am I right?
So? What does it matter to you? I would never have attacked her, if that's what you're insinuating.
Who put an end to the relationship? You or her?
It was her. It was her. But what does that matter? We both agreed.
Where were you last night?
In my room. I read a few ancient manuscripts before going to bed. But I didn't stay up long. I was tired.
Thank you kindly. We finished. I'll have a look around and then take my leave.
Do whatever you have to do.
What a tragedy, my son. How could such a thing have happened?
That's exactly what I'm trying to find out. Did you notice anything out of the ordinary last night?
I saw the young French soldier, Bonaparte, I believe, hanging around near Miss Adams' room. But I would not want to get an innocent man into trouble, Louis. It's probably nothing. But if I were you, my son, I would talk to Monsieur Peru. You remember how violently he set upon Miss Adams.
Oh, don't worry. He's on the list of suspects.
All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. You were armed the night of my arrival. Can I see your weapon?
No.
You do realize you're not helping, don't you? You're making it worse for yourself. I know you were at the scene. We will save a lot of time if you just tell me what happened.
You know nothing at all.
Enlighten me then. For now, I have your footprint in a pool of blood.
That's right. The only thing you can prove is one of my boots was at the scene. Congratulations. You've wrapped up the investigation. All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. Let's get right to it. Are you Elizabeth Adams' murderer?
That is for you to prove, if I'm not mistaken, boy. You weren't expecting me to do all the legwork for you, were you? Lazy man.
Goodbye, sir. We shall meet again.
Probably.
A pattern with 4 circles. Dear Monsieur Perru, I'm writing to thank you for the funds you sent. These funds will be crucial for the renovation of the western wing of the orphanage. The children you sent are doing marvelously well, and little Pierre will soon be walking. Some of them still sometimes suffer nightmares about their parents on the scaffold, but I expect they will cease in due course. Should you decide to send us more, please note that another 20 beds will soon be ready. The children and myself will never thank you enough. Long live the Republic. Long live France. Sister Marie-Hélène.
I have no space left. I'll retrieve it later.
All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. Goodbye, sir. We shall meet again.
Probably.
Golden elixir.
Monsieur de Richet, please be quick. We are both very busy.
As any good soldier would, I imagine you own a firearm. May I see it?
Oh, well, if you really want to, here is my pistol. Don't worry, it is not loaded.
Do you have several of these?
In Corsica, oui, but not on me when I am traveling. Only a bandit would carry such an arsenal.
Thank you.
Well, have we finished, monsieur?
Exactly. Thanks again for all your answers. Good day.
What can I do for you, Louis?
Did you and Elizabeth get to know each other?
I must admit, Louis, I didn't take much interest in her. I feel a bit guilty about it, but I never actually spoke to her. She seemed burdened by her problems, and as she wasn't invited to the conference, I didn't really seek her out.
I found a torn piece of dress in Miss Adams' room. Gray silk.
Where's it from?
That's what I'm trying to find out. The color doesn't match any of Elizabeth's dresses, but I might not have found all of her clothes yet.
Good Lord, Louis, do you realize what this means? If this piece of dress isn't from Elizabeth, then it's... I don't have any grey silk dresses, Louis. Neither does my sister, since we wear the same clothes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to check with you.
I'm so sorry, Louis.
Thank you.
Are you all right? You know, I'm sure there's a good reason why your mother was at the scene.
Thank you, Emily. We found the murder weapon.
What is it?
A dagger, quite slim.
Have you found its owner?
Not yet. Still searching as it happens. That said, since the blade penetrated the body several times, the murderer's hand will have been covered in blood.
You think that's a clue?
The handprint was a very slender hand, Emily. Probably that of a woman.
Do you realize what that means? There are only 3 of us on the island. Bearing in mind that neither my sister nor myself had any reason to set upon the young lady, that means...
I know, Emily. I know.
Keep up your courage, Louis. I'm sure there's an explanation. You're bound to shed some light on it all.
If what you say is true, Emily, I'm less and less enthusiastic about shedding any light on the subject. I won't keep you, Emily. Thank you for answering my questions.
See you, Louis.
Greetings, Louis.
Were you aware that Elizabeth took laudanum?
Yes, she came to ask me for some. She had finished her reserve, I believe.
Did she tell you why she was so desperate to get some, Mr. President?
She said she had terrible migraines that wouldn't go away.
More likely for the voices she heard, not the migraines. Tell me, Mr. President, had you spoken to Elizabeth since your arrival? You know her father. You thought she was dead.
No, I didn't. And I believe I'll be taking my remorse with me to my grave. I wanted to, but I didn't know where to begin.
You can't blame yourself. You couldn't have known that her days were numbered. Mr. President, we found a footprint at the scene of the crime.
Not a dress shoe, I hope. That's all I wear.
No, rest assured. It looks like the print of a big ankle boot. A large size, I'd say.
Perfect. That should help you, Louis. It's a clue.
Monsieur Johann van Vulner. I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
I believe I've identified the murderer.
Really, Louis? All right, then. Please think carefully before you give me your answer. This is a very, very serious accusation.
From what I've found out, I believe that my mother's... culprit. Even though I find it hard to accept.
Sarah? But why her?
I found a piece of fabric that appears to have belonged to her and proves she was present at the scene of the crime.
Interesting. Anything else?
The print left on the knife near the body was left by a slender hand, without a doubt the hand of a woman.
And there aren't many female guests. I see. Anything else, Louis?
Elizabeth thought that Mother was going to kill her. Difficult to believe in a simple coincidence in light of recent events.
Indeed, it's uncanny. Anything else?
I found out that there was a long history between Elizabeth and my mother. She had been her personal doctor and had tortured her throughout her childhood.
And so she could have tried to silence Elizabeth so the truth wouldn't get out and damage her reputation. Well, it's possible. Have you anything else?
I think that there's more than enough evidence here.
Indeed, it's very worrying. Everything seems to indicate that your mother is responsible for Elizabeth's murder. Given the distinguished guests and the political issues involved at the conference, I trust you'll leave me to conclude the case in my own way.
Now that we've examined the question from all sides, maybe you could explain to me why you asked me here, my lord.
Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
She seems to be making every effort to steer clear of your guests.
What do you mean?
For the past few weeks, my mother's been playing cat and mouse, if you will. I don't know why, but it wouldn't surprise me to learn that she's trying to avoid someone. The question is, who?
And in your opinion, would she be the cat or the mouse?
I'd like to answer the cat, but unfortunately I'm increasingly worried that she's in fact the mouse.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities and yours in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the canon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. He was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him because I have a firm conviction that he can go far.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me. Did my mother intend to finance a war? I'm not sure that I follow.
No,
your mother's aim was not so much to partake in a war, but rather to make Monsieur Bonaparte accountable. France is in turmoil, and having support of a military man can often come in handy, Louis. You'll see. Once this deal was closed, I had big plans for Sarah.
Such as what?
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play, and I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what is said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
She was looking for someone.
What do you mean?
In Paris, we were working on a smuggling case to do with occult objects. We had just arrested a dealer who intended to go to you to meet a buyer. My mother was here to find out to whom he intended to sell his stolen treasure.
What was the name of your dealer?
The dealer was called Von Burchard. As for the buyer, he was unknown to us.
No, I don't know anything about that. There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
Her not coming back to the manor after so long makes me wonder if she is wary of someone.
Well, certainly. But whom? The only ones who were present during her stay were Sir Gregory, Duchess Hillsborough, Mr. von Wollner, and myself.
My lord, I'm obliged to ask this question, but please don't take offense to it.
You wondered if Sarah was wary of me. It just so happens that I've been asking myself the very same question. Because I can't explain why Sarah didn't come to see me, knowing how influential I am. But to your point, I can't imagine she would be. Although I am obviously not the best person to answer that question.
Thank you. I had to ask.
The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
Tell me about her disappearance.
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on.
That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that?
Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with. I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation, until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you.
The room is just opposite Mortimer's study. There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is on to us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays. What is this disc? St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors, too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. The door appears to be locked on the other side. I think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like a key falling to the floor. We'll see if it works. It's open. St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. No, what does that mean?
Silver crystals. Painting of St. Mark from the collection of the Apostles by Guido Reni. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. It looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust. It's St. John, painted by Guido Reni. A chest with the occult symbol representing air. A drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel. A Greek drachma, one of the rare ancient coins to be the New Testament. Volume of the Gutenberg Bible. For the Jews require a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. But he that hateth his brother is in darkness, and walketh in darkness, and knoweth not whither he goeth, because that darkness hath blinded his eyes. But Jesus turned him about, and when he saw her, he said, Daughter, be of good comfort, thy faith hath made thee whole. And the woman was made whole from that hour. Paul and Silvanus and Timotheus unto the church of the Thessalonians, which is in God the Father, and in the Lord Jesus Christ. Grace be unto you, and peace, from God our Father, and the Lord Jesus Christ. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Oh, wait! A note from Mother is carefully folded between the pages here. What does it say? Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the two groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative. Awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle. What? The youngest apostle? What does Mother mean by that? There's something else behind this painting. It says, half of each group will join the first city of Corinth. What the hell does that mean?
St. John is the only apostle painted in this gallery who hasn't got a beard. Hey, wait! That means it's him. He's the youngest apostle. Right. This painting is therefore associated with the answer which E had to give to my mother. Now, I just need to know how to recover the answer. The painting looks like it's been taken down recently. But wasn't my mother said that she would wait for an answer hidden behind the apostle? Ah, of course. There's something written behind the painting. On the second day, the pilgrims will listen to the prophecy of the young apostle. They shall add 1 companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their rank. What does it mean? Then came together unto him the Pharisees, and certain of the scribes, which came from Jerusalem. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. This only would I learn of you. Receive ye the Spirit by the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith? Now, therefore, there is utterly a fault among you, because ye go to law with one another. Why do ye not rather suffer injustice? Why do ye not rather suffer yourselves to be defrauded? Ah, look, here's a message. It is of paramount importance that no one finds it. Watch out for the Prussian. He's on the trail. Let's meet up. I'll leave it to you to organize the rendezvous. Not today. I'm unable to do it. In the meantime, I'll follow the first group to Mark, who will reveal the answer to them. And that first group of pilgrims, how many are there now? If I refer to the chapter I'm reading at the moment, 6. For we are unto God a sweet savor of Christ, in them that are saved, and in them that perish. It is of paramount importance that no one finds it. Watch out for the Prussian. He's on the trail. Let's meet up. I'll leave it to you to organize the rendezvous. Not today. I'm unable to do it. In the meantime, I'll follow the first group to Mark, who will reveal the answer to them. And that first group of pilgrims, how many are there now? If I refer to the chapter I'm reading at the moment, 6.
And as they did eat, Jesus took bread and blessed it and broke it and gave it to them and said, "Take, eat. This is my body." And behold, there cometh one of the rulers of the synagogue, Jairus by name. And when he saw him, he fell at his feet. Then came together unto him the Pharisees, and certain of the scribes, which came from Jerusalem. And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee, and was baptized by John in Jordan. Little characters are engraved on the chest of drawers under the urn. It's a sentence in Hebrew. It says, "Count in the dust." All right, let's do it. It's too cumbersome for me to unhook here, but judging by the dust, it hasn't been moved for months, if not years. No, nothing of value here. There are finger marks, deliberately drawn in the dust. 8 in all. That's what the message in Hebrew spoke about. Hebrew 8. But that which beareth thorns and briars is rejected, and is nigh unto cursing, whose end is to be burned. Here's a message. There are some complications. Indeed, the Prussian is insistent. What's happening at your end? Do you need help? If tonight is not possible, let's see tomorrow evening, in the South Room, where we reviewed the situation. When Paul understood that only the axe counted, he went back on his tracks. I await your confirmation to his left, in the company of the pilgrims that have joined him. Yeah, this last comment is about their code. I should find new pilgrims near Paul. St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. This painting has been hanging here for a long time. A lot of dust is built up on it. Well, a finger has drawn a number in the thin layer of dust. I can read the number 4. St. Paul is the only saint to be presented twice in these paintings, contrary to the other apostles. How come? Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. Follow peace with all men, and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the two groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative. Awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle. What? The youngest apostle? What does Mother mean by that? What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith, and have not works? Can faith save him? St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. Strange. St. Paul is shown twice, unlike the other disciples. Of the 4 apostles shown in this piece, Paul is the only one who isn't an evangelist. He is the 13th apostle. This I say therefore, and testify in the Lord, that ye henceforth walk not as other Gentiles walk, in the vanity of their mind. Follow peace with all men, and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. There is none that understandeth, there is none that seeketh after God. For I through the law am dead to the law, that I might live unto God. It is of paramount importance that no one finds it. Watch out for the Prussian. He's on the trail. Let's meet up. I'll leave it to you to organize the rendezvous. Not today. I'm unable to do it. In the meantime, I'll follow the first group to Mark, who will reveal the answer to them. And that first group of pilgrims, how many are there now? If I refer to the chapter I'm reading at the moment, 6. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Reni. It looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust. There's nothing worth noticing here. There are some complications. Indeed, the Prussian is insistent. What's happening at your end? Do you need help? If tonight is not possible, let's see tomorrow evening, in the South Room, where we reviewed the situation. When Paul understood that only the axe counted, he went back on his tracks. I await your confirmation to his left, in the company of the pilgrims that have joined him. Yeah,
This last comment is about their code. I should find new pilgrims near Paul. And great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. Then they suborned men, which said, We have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and against God. And he became very hungry, and would have eaten, but while they were made ready, he fell into a trance. Hey, there's a note here. A message from Mother in reply to E. We must leave urgently, but first I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare. Watch out for Volner. He figured out I was avoiding him. Allay suspicion. See you tomorrow evening. Stand ready. For now, let's cease all communication until we meet. Take care of yourself. I suppose this must be the last message. What happened afterward? If it's what I suspect, I fear the worst. What did Mother mean by, I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare? I must go beyond the nightmare. What does she mean by that? I'm guessing it's a metaphor. I need to figure out what this means. Mortimer's getting his guests together. I ought to join them so I don't look suspicious. It's time I went back and joined everyone in the small salon.
You are expected in the small salon, sir.
Emily, I must speak to you.
What's the matter, Louis?
I have news about your sister.
What have you found out?
Look,
I've started piecing together the events leading up to my mother's disappearance and your sister's. Did my mother know about your secret?
Yes, even though I belong to the English chapter, her rank in the Order gives her access to a good deal of personal information.
It must have been Emma I saw in my vision.
I was given to understand that my mother and your sister bonded during their stay. I've got a question that might seem a little bit strange.
I'm listening.
If I said go beyond the nightmare, would that ring any bells?
No, means nothing to me. Do you mean literally or figuratively speaking?
My mother used to talk about it, in the figurative sense, probably. We still need to understand what she was referring to, though.
If I find something, I'll let you know.
Should I speak to her about my vision? If what I saw is true, she might want to take revenge.
Emily, there's something else.
Go on, then.
It's about your sister. I don't know what happened exactly, but it's possible that my mother had a go at her.
I know, Louis. I found out that same evening. Well, thanks for not trying to hide it.
What? Why didn't you tell me?
I didn't know if I could trust you. Now I know I can. It seems that your mother tricked Emma. She apparently asked her to hide an important book so that even she wouldn't know where it was. And then she shot her like a dog to make sure no one would ever find it again.
How did you find out?
Sir Gregory told me on my arrival.
I'm sincerely sorry, Emily.
Thank you, Louis. But you do realize your mother will have to accept the consequences of her acts.
There must be an explanation, Emily.
That's what we shall see. Come, Louis. They're waiting for us.
You will pay dearly, Peru. I'm sure you were involved somewhere along the line.
That's right. Pretend you don't know. One piece of advice. Don't travel through France on your way back, or it'll cost you dearly.
Calm now, my friends. Let's calm down. Everyone seems to be a little unnecessarily heated. Don't forget where you are, please.
What's going on here exactly?
Sir Gregory called us together to introduce the last guest.
But hardly had we arrived when he set upon Monsieur Peru.
And what has Mr. Peru done to once again provoke someone's anger?
We don't really know just yet.
I get the feeling it won't be long before it gets out.
How could you dare do such a thing? Dios mío, you are all out of your minds.
Really, Duke Manuel? What made you kick up such a fuss?
What? Have you not heard? Well, let me inform you that yesterday morning at 10:22 a.m. precisely, in the middle of the Place de la Révolution in Paris, by decree of the National Convention which Monsieur Peru works for, King Louis was guillotined. What?
Oh, no.
The King of France is dead, gentlemen. Our monarchies are in danger. I have said it before.
How dare they?
Oh, dear.
Oh, as if it...
Gracious.
Friends, let us calm down.
Don't pretend to be surprised. He got a fair trial.
Ridiculous. Bastard. He was sentenced to death by 361 votes to 360. You beheaded a king for one vote. Is that your democracy?
What an obnoxious act. Until this, anything was possible. This political coup will have grave consequences.
France is lost.
Gentlemen, please, let us take a step back a moment.
In the name of holiness. He was the highest representative of God in France, Emily.
If I remember rightly, what Mother told me one night, King Louis was secretly also part of the Order. I wonder what impact his death will have on us.
Sad news, sir.
With whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
Louis Maras de Richet.
Are you related to Sarah de Richet?
Sarah is his mother, Duke. Gentlemen, this news affects us all, but I must ask you to remain calm. It's not the first time history has taken us by surprise. Let's ensure that our respective countries are allowed to respond appropriately to this news.
Oh, rest assured. The response will not fall short, my friend.
Good for you. Well, Your Grace, here I was preparing to introduce you as is proper, and you've beaten me to it. I'm delighted that we are all together at last. Our meeting will therefore be able to kick off shortly. I have just a few more little preparations to take care of before you all find out the reason for your presence here. In the meantime, I shall leave you to get to know one another. When you hear the bell, please proceed to the conclave room on my left, behind that door. I'll see you later.
Could you spare a moment, please, sir?
I'm glad you asked. I want to talk to you, too.
Of course.
I heard about your mother's disappearance.
He looks concerned. I don't know why, but I doubt it's from sympathy alone. Well, let's see what he wants from me.
Any news of her? Have you found her, maybe?
To hear you speak, you seem to know my mother well.
Not really. We met for the first time on this very spot some weeks back. We had a very pleasant discussion. She's an exceptionally learned lady with a good head for business. No need for me to tell you that.
I agree.
Did she tell you about our arrangement?
The cat's out of the bag now. More or less, but please do refresh my memory.
Yes, of course. Nothing of great importance in itself. During one of our discussions, she spoke of an old book which might have been of interest to me, and she had agreed to let me have it.
A book about what?
Ancient occultism. As you are aware, I am a doctor of theology. You might have come across some old books in her belongings, perhaps?
The least one can say is that he doesn't beat around the bush. Sarah never travels without a few books. What does the one you're looking for look like exactly?
It resembles a grimoire. It's divided into 7 parts, each one individually locked. It was made in such a way that if someone tried to tamper with it, the sheets would be permanently tarnished. It's a unique copy. There's only one.
The mere mention of it makes his face light up. Well, I'll take a closer look, but I can't promise you anything. You seem very upset. Is it so important to you, this book?
Well, it's the search of a lifetime. What can I say? Every time I move closer to it, it seems to slip away at the last minute. I was very surprised to learn that your mother had it in her possession. I thought it was with a certain von Borchardt in Paris. Do you know him?
I've never heard of him. I'm sorry. I haven't been much help to you.
Well, too bad.
I hope I've been able to satisfy your curiosity, Mr. von Wollner. and that you succeed in finding what you're looking for.
Oh, and so do I.
And now, what if you told me who you really are working for, instead of keeping up this pretense?
I beg your pardon?
We both know what you're looking for, von Wollner. You're the one who von Burchert was planning to sell it to.
For centuries, all those who have come into contact with the Al-Azif have bitterly regretted it, Monsieur de Richet. You are playing a dangerous game. Please know that I am working for someone who does not appreciate anyone poking around in his business.
Let me guess. It's Sir Gregory.
Correct. You ought to know then, he is not a man who likes to be duped. You are walking on thin ice, sir.
Chronicles of the Amber Princess. As I recall, Dorkin was my favorite character.
Monsieur Bonaparte, may I speak with you a moment?
May we?
What do you think of Duke Godoy?
Well, I'd rather not express any opinion of him.
Why is that?
His reputation is enough for me.
Meaning?
This gentleman enjoys people talking about him for too many reasons. His undeserved titles, more than 10 in just 4 years, and each one more prestigious than the one before.
You don't think he deserves them?
If I had seen him on the battlefield, there might be some doubt. But that is not the case. The Queen would rather not risk losing him, so she consoles him with awards and titles.
So you don't have a very positive opinion?
His coveting French Catalonia does not encourage me to have one.
I understand your point of view. Does expression "go beyond the nightmare" mean anything to you at all?
Well, metaphorically, yes. It sums up the career of a soldier quite well. I doubt that is what you want to hear, though.
Indeed.
That's surely not what I'm looking for.
Well, monsieur, if you are looking for a phrase book, Lord Mortimer must surely have one, given the number of books he has. You ought to check in the library of the tower. You never know.
Would you have any more information about the conference Lord Mortimer spoke of?
Nothing at all. Mortimer is very committed to secrecy when it comes to his conferences. But given the presence of Monsieur Peru and ourselves, I think it must concern France to some extent. Otherwise, I doubt he would have invited 3 Frenchmen to his table, huh?
Well, I'll be leaving you now. Shall we meet up again later?
Wait, monsieur. Any news of your mother?
Unfortunately not, no.
I hope to speak with her about my deal before I leave. Let me know if you find her. À plus tard, monsieur.
Lord Mortimer certainly has a taste for staging rooms. Go beyond the nightmare. Does this line remind you of anything in particular?
You've caught me unaware here, Louis. Let me think about it a second. No, nothing comes to mind. Sorry, Louis, but I am unable to help you.
Mr. President, what do you think about your counterpart, Duke Manuel?
I'm very surprised he was able to accept Lord Mortimer's invitation, given the political situation in Spain.
I wonder what promise Lord Mortimer could have made to make him agree to come here, given the circumstances.
Who knows?
Mr. President, can you tell me a little more about the coming conference?
Of course, Louis. That's why we're here. Lord Mortimer or Sir Gregory regularly organize meetings like this to put forward major projects.
What do you mean by major projects?
I'd prefer to let Lord Mortimer explain that to you, Louis. Let's say he brings together influential people in order to consider possible actions to undertake to guarantee the future of nations.
Do you know the theme of the conference?
Not in the slightest. None of the guests know the theme before arriving. But you'll see, everything will turn out fine. Don't worry.
Well, thank you for your time.
Don't mention it, my young friend. Regarding your question on the nightmare, don't hesitate to question the others about it. Maybe one of them knows more than I do.
That's a good idea. Thank you once again. I'll see you in a little bit.
Louis, just the man. Good Lord, how did the king come to be executed? I would think that the order would have intervened.
Your Eminence, I haven't been following the case. I'm sure that the order did everything in its power. Unfortunately, you know the situation in Paris, and, well, it's chaotic at best. Anything can happen in those revolutionary tribunals.
The king is the official representative of God on earth, my son.
Your Eminence, France has become a secular state. The king was just another citizen to them. He refused to admit his errors, looked down upon them, and attempted to escape. What did he expect?
France has lost all reason, Louis.
I invite you to speak about it with my mother as soon as she reappears.
Is there any news of her?
I hope it won't be long before I find her, Your Eminence.
Now you wanted to speak to me.
I'm sure a man like you is in the circle of trust. Would you know what the conference that Lord Mortimer mentioned is going to be about?
Not really, my son. Well, be it Lord Mortimer or Sir Gregory, we are never informed about the theme of the conference before it begins.
I was wondering what to think of that Manuel Godoy.
He is reputed to be a very ambitious character, at every level. But his faith is unwavering. He is a staunch defender of the church. You can believe me.
As to his faith, I have no doubt. However, his ambition seems to surpass his morality, and I hope that it will not sully the crown.
You can say that again. The blue eyes of the latest Infanta, Maria Isabel, have left everyone wondering.
Rumors always accompany men of power, Your Eminence.
Naturally. But the number of awards and titles granted by the Queen during these past 4 years leaves little doubt.
So, Godoy really is this out-and-out rascal who uses his charm on the Queen. If I say the nightmare to you, does it make you think of anything?
Your question is strange, my son. Difficult to say. Could you at least tell me a little more about the context?
Think of a place and tell me the first thing that comes into your mind when I say the nightmare.
Let me think. I'd say Lord Mortimer's favorite painting on the wall behind his desk. You know, that painting caused quite a stir when it was exhibited. It is titled The Nightmare, and it shows a woman lying down with a creature sitting on her. And in the background, horse. I don't know if it will be of any help, but I can't think of anything else.
You never know. Thank you for that, though, Your Eminence. Oh, I gotta go and see it just in case, though. Thank you for everything, Your Eminence. I shan't take up any more of your time.
You are welcome, my son. I will be seeing you, Louis.
The lock is surrounded by a triple circle.
Devil's Thorn.
Mattress. The Miller Brothers. Mother expressly forbade me from reading it. There's the alchemical symbol of the earth on the lid. An old sesterce from Roman Gaul. Monsieur Johann van Volnel. So, what did my mother mean by going beyond the nightmare? The Book of the Mortimer Family. The Book of the Mortimer Family. Let's take a closer look. Judging by the shape, I'd say they're Criollo cocoa beans, the chocolate of the Mayas, the rarest of the beans. Some even say they're an aphrodisiac. When a product is in fashion, people attribute all sorts of virtues to it, not to be given to animals. These chocolates are probably a protocol gift. Everybody in Europe loves them nowadays. Marie Antoinette, the Queen of France, has her own personal chocolate maker at Versailles. They say it's her guilty little morning ritual before getting dressed. A cup with 1 sugar and some vanilla, if I remember rightly. I would be surprised if Mortimer has them delivered straight from South America. dark chocolate beans. Very bitter. They're greatly prized in high society. No, what have we got here? Oh, it looks like a model of a lock. It's as if Mortimer is fond of complicating things sometimes. Well, I hope I never have to try and unlock it. It's a book on the history of the Crusades. I don't think it has any connection with my research. It looks like a war painting. Oh, it's dated. The Nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781. Ah, this must be what my mother was talking about. Now just need to find out what she meant by go beyond. Hey, looks like it's mounted on rails on each side. It should lift up, I think. There must be a mechanism somewhere. That's what you generally feed birds. Might come in handy. A myna bird.
Waldo! What's your boy, Waldo? What's your boy? Waldo! What's your boy?
Sarah DeRiche? Waldo, you know Sarah?
Lava! Lava! Don't go! Stop it! Stop it!
What?
No!
Repeat that, Waldo. Sarah? What about Sarah?
Don't go! Sarah, no! No, stop, Sarah! Stop it! No!
Good God, what's been happening here? Well, Waldo, is your master good?
What's your boy, Waldo? What's your boy?
I don't really know what I was expecting. Aha! I found it. Oh, what on earth is this? A ring lock now? Great. That's all I needed.
Many families kept documents of their history, but I've never seen anything like this before. Such regularity in writing them up through the generations for such a long time. First time I've ever seen that. Mortimer gives considerable importance to his origins. That's undeniable. Oh, the family tree. Let's see. All Mortimer's ancestors are called William something Mortimer. That happens a lot in noble families, but here it's systematic. Not a single generation ever breaks the custom. Looks like this family is very attached to their principles. Lord William Alexander Mortimer, lover of the arts and the sciences, he took up politics at an early age. After rapidly becoming influential, he decides to retire from public life in order to organize conferences reserved for the elite with the aim of finding answers to world problems. Blah, 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 blah. He's also an only son, and the book doesn't mention any known descendant. All right. For one, the women of the lineage are not mentioned at all. What a cavalier attitude. Right. Let's see. Who else is there? All the descendants are called William Mortimer. There have been only male descendants. All of them only sons. Strange. It was uncommon to have only one child in those days, let alone all only sons. How was that possible? It really makes you wonder if all those sons really are official descendants. I'm smelling something shady here. This seems to be the list of grants and sponsorships given by the Mortimer family. Well, history of the Mortimer lineage. Looks like his ancestors have always sought to improve society and have had an open attitude towards the arts. Coup de Lance by Paul Rubens. It's Christ on the cross as Longinus pierces his side with a spear. Rubens, he was a great painter. Coup de Lance by Paul Rubens. William Alexander Mortimer I, the 12th month of Anno Lucis, 5190. That's a funny date. A painting depicting the Third Crusade. It's titled Winter Before the Fall of Saint Jean d'Acre. siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre was a major conflict during the Third Crusade. Richard the Lionheart and Philip Augustus fought to take the town back. It was the Crusaders' first operation to take back the Kingdom of Jerusalem. Now, what have we got here? Well, it looks like a model of a lock. It's as if Mortimer is fond of complicating things sometimes. Well, I hope I never have to try and unlock it. This painting isn't finished, and it looks like Mortimer probably did it. Not bad, but we can't exactly say it's been done in the style of the period. History of the First Crusades by Pierre Amédée de la Sarde. Hey, the dates indicate AL, and it looks like 4,000 years have been added to our calendar. Oh, that counting system again. The famous call from Pope Gregory VIII in his Audita Tremendi Bull of 5,187. Oh, the crusade where Richard the Lionhearted distinguished himself. It states the first sea blockade of Saint-Jean d'Acre was broken in the 12th month of 5,190 AL, whereas the siege had been going on for 2 years. Open sesame. Let's see what you've been hiding, Lord Mortimer. Moreover, it shows a fair number of sea voyages being organized towards the American continent. No doubt with slaves. How many men are broken in this trade? Tens of thousands each year, according to what people say. It shows the forces present in Africa. This is unexpected activity in this sector. It looks like there are also many unknowns, even for Mortimer. Weakness of the Human Psyche by Guillaume Trimore. He says, it is possible to drill an idea into someone by constant daily repetition until the mind gives in. And goes on, there are hundreds of good ways to live life, but
You only need one to convince the masses that it's the only one possible. The author isn't letting any ethical principles get in his way, is he? Some of those forces are pushing toward the west. On it, Mortimer's placed little feather symbols at different points, toward which the Spanish are headed. Could he be fueling Indian resistance to slow down Spain? This shows the forces present in America. Looks like a campaign is being prepared in France in favor of Italy. Could Mortimer have decided to finance a war? It shows the forces present in Europe. It's clear that France is surrounded by her enemies. However, a large number has been underlined in bold. 26 million. I know what it is. It's an estimation of my country's population. All our neighbors have far fewer inhabitants. It's locked. Fine-looking map of the Orient, indeed. This is my mother's writing. I've picked up her trail. What is she up to? Obviously, she wants to lure Mortimer somewhere, but where? The only clue she's left for Mortimer is this stone sword. It must be intentional. It looks like a decorative sword, like from a statue, for example. And judging by the state of it, I'm guessing it's been left outside for a long time. I have absolutely got to find out where it came from. Preservation using formaldehyde. Just as disgusting as ever. Something strange about this table. What kind of experiments does Mortimer carry out here? It's a dissection table. So Mortimer does autopsies. Here on his desert island. But
Who is he doing autopsies on, then? The Little Surgeon's Perfect Collection. Strange. I don't recognize the alphabet. I wonder where the pictograms are from. It isn't Egyptian or Hebrew. There are 2 inscriptions on the sides as well as on the top. No way to know what's underneath. Absolutely no idea what it's for, but I find this cue fascinating. Looks like obsidian or onyx. It must weigh a ton. These are feathers. Pigeon, probably. A skeleton by the name of Gustav, if the plaque on the plinth is anything to go by. Mortimer's given a name to his anatomy skeleton. That's morbid. Oh, his right hand is missing. That must be for writing the homing pigeon messages. An iron mask. I wonder who it's for. Chest with a motif representing the alchemical symbol of fire. A table of alchemical elements. So, Lord Mortimer also studies alchemy? It seems like he's interested in everything. Am I seeing things, or is that an actual von Leeuwenhoek microscope? Incredible. Mortimer really is at the cutting edge of science. Even at the Order, it took us ages to get one of those. 3 rusty old nails. They're about 20 centimeters long. 3 rusty old nails. They're about 20 centimeters long. Some goat skulls, chicken legs. Now we all know what that's for. I'm a little surprised at Mortimer. I didn't seem as the type to be organizing little pagan parties, invoking occult powers, and dancing naked under the full moon. I'm more used to seeing cheap charms like this sold by charlatans in Pré Saint-Gervais. Look, a pack of tarot cards. Has he been reading the cards? Mortimer? That would surprise me. It is a typical draw on a line that answers a specific question. To the left, temperance, that announces a reward for one who patiently waits before taking any action. And in the middle, the chariot, which symbolizes triumph and business success. To the right, the emperor evokes a future full of power and stability. Oh, shit. How am I going to get out of here now? This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. It looks too easy. It could be a trap. It looks like the same as the one on the other side. It looks like the same as the one on the other side. This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. Whoa. If the grid closes a bit more every time I enter a wrong date, I'd better not mess up again. Yet I'm sure there's a connection with the date that I've entered earlier to open the door. Maybe I'm not approaching the problem from the right angle. This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. The wheels are stuck. Shit! I'm cornered like a rat. Someone's coming. Please don't let it be Mortimer. Who is it?
Deliberately avoiding me. 4 years ago, I was his favorite. But nowadays, I have to ask for an audience with his lordship.
Damn it! It's Peru. I don't know if I should, but...
Well, that's it. I've had enough of being humiliated.
I'm wasting my time here.
After everything I've done on his behalf, he dares treat me like a lackey? I've bled the Parisian elite for the sake of his whims, and what have I got to show for it? Doesn't even have the courtesy to give me 5 minutes of his time. I wanted to put my mind at ease. Well, that's done. I know what I've got to do now.
I must find my mother. So much for discretion. Monsieur Peru! It's me! Monsieur de Riche!
What the devil is going on?
I need your help!
Where are you, de Riche?
Behind the painting! Open it, please! I've shut myself in! There's a pedal under Lord Mortimer's desk. Can you see it?
There's no... Hang on. Yes.
Good. Now press it.
Yeah. Done.
You should see something resembling a frame with numbers. Yes? You have to turn them to set the combination. 1191.
Well, well, well. Poking our nose into Mortimer's little secrets, are we? You do surprise me.
It's not what you're thinking. I'll explain everything.
No, you will not, sir. It has nothing to do with me, and by the way, I never even saw you. So, I'll be on my way now.
Thanks again. I'm indebted to you. I won't forget this.
Yeah. Goodbye.
I've wasted enough time. I better get moving if I want to find my mother.
This note is about a meeting with Lord Mortimer. There's no doubt about it. All right, I need to find out where the sword that came with it's from in order to find Mother.
You're joking, I hope. Don't tell me you've done that.
Really? How do you expect me to guess?
Oh, for God's sake, just ask them. We must absolutely inform Sir Gregory. How long has he been trying to collect all the spears?
I must have brought him the first one 20-odd years ago.
Do you know if he has managed to get the original?
Well, in any case, he's got all the ones we had at the Vatican. He made me replace them with copies. But I don't understand your reaction. I'm sure it is nothing serious.
Aha. I can see very well you do not understand. You have done nothing less than sign our death warrants, and still you don't understand.
Someone is listening.
What? Monsieur de Richet, why not join us rather than find yourself eavesdropping?
I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Of course you didn't. So, my son, what can we do for you?
I didn't mean to spy on you, but you caught my attention. Have you brought spears as well, then?
What? Did Mortimer ask you to bring him holy spears too?
Yes, but I thought I was the only one. How many of them have you brought, then?
18 in all. Any relic even remotely to do with them, in fact.
18 spears? How many of them exist in all?
No one knows. Especially as there is only one authentic one, of course. That all adds to the mystery, don't you think?
Well, please leave us, monsieur. His Eminence and I wish to finish our discussion alone. Leave us now.
I am sorry, sir, but the conference room is under preparation and is consequently inaccessible to guests.
Could you perhaps help me?
What can I do for you, sir?
Where did this sword come from?
From the garden, sir. That sword belongs to one of the statues in the garden.
Thank you very much.
Don't mention it, sir.
The sword probably came from this garden, but what could it have been used for? Golden elixir.
You again? God damn it, are you following me?
Wouldn't dream of it, sir.
What brings you here?
To tell the truth, I was wondering the same thing about you.
It's rare for guests to wander about in the garden. I wanted to be alone for 5 minutes.
You look worried.
Worried? No. Resolved would be a more exact term.
Resolved to do what?
What's the point in answering? You wouldn't believe me anyway. I'll be leaving now because whatever it is you're up to, I do not want to know. Be seeing you.
Tell me, aren't you even curious?
Curiosity killed the cat, Monsieur de Richet. I admit, I may have judged you wrongly. Watching you seek out Mortimer's little secrets might even be amusing if I didn't already know the consequences. See you later.
What scares you so much?
Don't mess with him, monsieur. If he offers his help, refuse it. Keep your freedom and get far away from here while you still can.
Ariadne. In Greek mythology, she helped Theseus get through the labyrinth. Looks like there's a crack in the region of the heart. I guide this sword that will kill the monster. Let's see. A crack as long as my finger. Icarus. The son of Daedalus and Nocrate. Impossible to mistake him with those wings. After flying too close to the sun, they came unstuck and he fell to his death. Pity. I am the innocent one, sacrificed for the sins of the father. Hey, there's no crack here. Well, let's keep going.
wonder what this kiosk is doing in the middle of the garden. Too cramped to be able to do much. Well, there must be something going on there. What is that? It's like a sort of opening mechanism. Knowing Mortimer, I bet it's booby-trapped. There's a little hole at the fingers. I'm pretty sure if I get it wrong, I'll get pricked. Damn you, Mortimer. Reminds me of traps I studied in Egyptian tombs. It's up to the just to deliver judgment. Truth unlocks all possibilities. Pasiphae, daughter of Perseus and sister of Circe. She married Minos and became the queen of Crete. Deliverance alone suffices not to wash away my humiliation. All right, well, let's continue anyways. A Chinese coin, recognizable by the hole in the middle. If I remember rightly, that's called a cash. Daedalus. He's the architect of the Labyrinth, and if I'm not mistaken, he's also the father of Icarus. I am the architect of my own demise. Hey, there's a crack in this statue too. The crack is thin and about as long as a finger. Asterion. It is rare to see him like this. In general, he's represented with the head of a bull, with the features of the Minotaur. The famous son of Minos and Pasiphae. I am the cursed child. This statue has a crack in it. Right. We'll soon see. Sorry, Asti. Yet again, your story does not end well. Asterion. Let's go. Minos. Son of Zeus and Europa. If I remember correctly, he was the king of Crete. Married to Pasiphae, he had many children, including the famous Ariadne, whom history remembers for her thread. Hey, there's a crack in that statue. In mythology, King Minos was known as a wise and just king, despite the fact that he deceived Poseidon. As punishment, his country was devastated by the white bull of the sea god, and his wife became passionately in love with it. From their union, Asterion was born, sadly known to us as the Minotaur. The illegitimate child, the child of shame, who had a sorry fate. And to think that Minos ended up as a judge of the underworld. Decidedly, the high and mighty always managed to get away with it. His gesture sealed his fate. Theseus, son of Aegeus. He's the one who slayed the Minotaur. Wrongly positioned. I am the blind hero. I wasn't expecting an inscription like that. I wonder if Mother managed to solve this enigma. What's wrong? Either I'm imagining things or my hand was pricked. It had poison on it. My head. I feel hot. Asterion. Theseus. Looks like a crack has been made on his torso. Theseus. Let's try something else instead. Minos. The crack is in the region of the heart. Again?
You can't be serious, Manuel. You know that's not going to happen.
You must leave me alone now. I have agreed to everything. Even to...
Agreed? I wasn't aware you had a choice.
What's going on here?
What now? What else must I do to win back my freedom?
Obey me. Now get out!
What was that? That's the third time in 3 days.
Let's see if you're in there, Mother. Amber. Bandages? Someone's been patching themselves up. Looks like my mother took advantage of being in hiding to change her bandages, huh? This is silk. She must have used her own clothes. These bandages are pretty basic. She'll be lucky if she doesn't get an infection. A pound. Damn it, Mother. Now what's happened?